Drawn guns, armed deputies, and a queen's fortress surrounded once again. But this time, the trail does not lead to some anonymous caller. It leads straight to a billionaire mogul who Nicki says has been orchestrating her destruction from the shadows. What Jay-Z allegedly did next changed everything. The Queen's fortress is under siege. Picture this. You are Nicki Minaj. You have sold over 100 million records worldwide. You have dominated every feature you have ever touched. You have shattered chart records people said no female rapper would ever break. And you have stacked enough wealth to buy a $20 million mansion in Hidden Hills, the same gated community where the Kardashians live, where security is supposed to be airtight and privacy is guaranteed. You are supposed to be untouchable behind those gates. Instead, you keep waking up to flashing red and blue lights, drawn weapons pointed at your front door, tactical vehicles parked on your manicured lawn, and helicopters circling your roof like you are public enemy number one. Except you have not done a single thing wrong. Not once. Somebody, and Nicki believes she knows exactly who, keeps calling the police on you with fake emergencies, phantom shootings, and made-up child abuse reports involving your infant son. Every single time, law enforcement arrives in force, armed and ready for war on the Queen of Rap's doorstep, while the person making the calls disappears like a ghost. That is the reality Nicki Minaj has been living with for years, and she has had enough. Before getting into the swatting incidents, it is important to understand the history of this property being targeted. In February 2017, Minaj Hollywood Hills home on the 2600 block of Beaumont Drive was burglarized while she was out of town. Thieves stole $175,000 in jewelry and valuables, slashing her clothes and knocking over furniture on their way out, vandalizing the home for no reason beyond destruction. The LAPD investigated, but no suspects were ever identified. Nicki was not home and avoided physical danger. But the incident set a chilling precedent that her properties were targets and that whoever was responsible could act without consequence. The swatting pattern began making national headlines in 2023, and it was far more dangerous than burglary because swatting threatens lives, not just possessions. On June 5, 2023, a false child abuse report claimed that Minaj and her husband, Kenneth Petty, were harming their 2-year-old son at their Hidden Hills home. Consider the calculation behind that call. It was not a simple noise complaint or disturbance, but an accusation of child abuse, the kind that guarantees an urgent and overwhelming police response. Deputies swarmed the estate. Armed officers arrived with weapons ready in a home with a toddler, only to find no evidence of a crime, no victim, and no signs of distress. It was a deliberate swatting hoax. Minaj responded fiercely on social media, hiring private investigators to trace the caller and demanding answers from local law enforcement. But it did not stop there. Just 24 hours later, another call falsely reported a shooting at the residence. Again, it was completely fabricated. 2 hoaxes within a single day, each designed to bring guns to a mother's door. In August 2023, yet another swatting call claimed a shooting at the property, triggering a full police response with tactical units and crisis teams descending on the home as if it were an active war zone. No crime was found. 3 times in a matter of months. Someone weaponized law enforcement against Nicki Minaj's family, and 3 times the trail went cold. Nicki made it clear that she did not believe these were random pranks, going on record to say that something far more targeted was happening.
My home swatted twice with drawn. They magically, no one seemed to find the person.
Magically is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. The Queen is not calling this bad luck. She is saying that somebody with serious influence is making sure the trail goes cold every single time. And when you look at the timeline, the swattings do not happen in a vacuum. They line up with moments when Nicki is targeting very specific people in the industry. To understand why police keep surrounding Nicki Minaj's home, you have to understand who she has been at war with and why. That conflict leads directly to Sean Corey Carter, known as Jay-Z, and his sprawling empire ROC Nation. The feud stretches back more than a decade, built on collaborations that slowly turned into resentment. Minaj and Jay-Z famously appeared together on Kanye West's 2010 track Monster, where Nicki's verse did more than hold its own. It overshadowed nearly everyone on the record, including Jay-Z. Industry insiders have long suggested that this moment bothered him more than he ever admitted publicly. By 2012, Minaj told Allure magazine that she aimed to surpass Jay-Z as a rap icon and effectively dethrone him. That level of ambition from a woman in the same genre helped set the stage for the tension that followed. The real bitterness, however, is said to have emerged from the financial fallout surrounding Tidal. When Jay-Z launched the streaming service in 2015, he brought together an elite group of artists owners. Minaj, Rihanna, Madonna, and J. Cole were each reportedly promised 3% equity in exchange for exclusive content and promotion. Minaj stood front and center at the launch event, aligned with some of the biggest names in music and publicly endorsing the platform. She fulfilled her side of the agreement by providing exclusive content, promoting the service, and lending her reputation to the brand. But when Jay-Z sold Tidal to Jack Dorsey's company Square in 2021, Minaj claims the compensation did not match what she was promised. According to her, she never received proper documentation confirming her equity stake. When the sale was finalized, she says she was offered only $1 million to settle, a figure she believed was far below the roughly $9 million her 3% share should have been worth based on the sale price. She did not quietly accept the offer. Instead, she rejected it and criticized the situation publicly and forcefully.
So you're saying that brother billionaire would use a legal loophole to not pay a black woman that upheld her part of the bargain, then threaten her that if she didn't sign a random paper in 24 hours, she would lose out on a measly $1 million because that's what y'all were offering? I'm so glad I said nope. Scare tactics and manipulation to steal what I worked for.
Let that sink in. According to Minaj, a billionaire and one of the wealthiest figures in entertainment allegedly used a legal loophole to underpay a woman who fulfilled her end of the deal, then pressured her to sign away her rights within a 24-hour window. In her view, that was not standard business practice. It felt like a shakedown. Minaj later took her frustration public, posting on X in July 2025 that she was owed between $100 and $200 million. Critics pushed back, arguing that if someone truly owed that kind of money, the fight would be happening in court, not on social media. Meanwhile, her fanbase amplified the message across platforms, repeating the claim that Jay-Z owed Nicki Minaj both money and an apology, but the dispute over Tidal was only one part of the larger conflict she described. Minaj also alleged that Jay-Z prevented her from releasing the Pink print exclusively on Tidal in 2014, a situation she says contributed to leaks and major lost revenue. She further claimed that a beat originally intended for her 2018 track Thought, I Knew You with The Weeknd was redirected to Beyoncé instead, despite her belief that the production had already been secured for her use. In addition, her planned collaboration with Nas on a song reportedly titled Sorry was allegedly shut down by legal action, costing her a substantial amount of money. Minaj has implied that lingering tensions between Jay-Z and Nas, dating back to their well-known early 2000s rivalry, played a role in that outcome. Beyond the business disputes, Minaj connected these professional conflicts to the harassment she says she experienced at home. She did not treat the swatting incidents as isolated pranks. Instead, she publicly suggested a direct link between the repeated police calls targeting her residence and the powerful figures she believed were working against her.
Isn't it funny how they kept trying to say Desiree Perez's black son-in-law was abusing her daughter to get him falsely imprisoned? Remember the 3 times my home was swatted, claiming a man in the home had a gun?
Nicki is saying the playbook is the same. False reports, fabricated emergencies, and the use of law enforcement as a weapon against people who cross certain powerful figures. Whether any of that is provable in court is a separate question, but the pattern she describes is detailed and consistent across multiple incidents. When someone claims that the same group keeps deploying the same tactic against different targets, it raises serious questions that are difficult to ignore. To understand her perspective, the conversation leads to ROC Nation, the entertainment and management company she frequently references. According to Minaj, the conflict is not only about money or disputed equity. She frames it as a struggle over control, about who thrives in the industry and who gets pushed aside. In her telling, the weapon is not a diss track or a subtle lyric. It is a powerful corporate machine operating behind the scenes. Since 2019, ROC Nation has been led by CEO Desiree Perez. Minaj has accused Perez and the organization of committing serious harm against black artists and of planting paid insiders to sabotage her career and personal life. Her language is pointed. She is not describing cold industry politics or quiet rumor campaigns. She is alleging deliberate, organized infiltration of her professional and personal circles by people working on behalf of one of the most influential companies in entertainment. In her view, this goes far beyond a typical rap rivalry and resembles something closer to a coordinated operation. The most visible flashpoint in this dispute came through the Super Bowl halftime show, an event curated in partnership with the National Football League. That partnership gives ROC Nation influence over one of the most watched musical stages in the world. When Kendrick Lamar was announced as the halftime performer instead of Lil Wayne in New Orleans, Wayne's hometown, Minaj publicly criticized the decision. She described it as unfair and framed it as a personal slight tied to her ongoing conflict. Her reaction drew support from Birdman, the founder of Cash Money Records, who also voiced frustration over the choice. Minaj further alleged that ROC Nation was actively promoting Megan Thee Stallion, an artist associated with the company, while sidelining her from major opportunities such as awards, tours, and high-profile events. In her narrative, the issue was not simple competition. She portrayed it as a deliberate effort to elevate artists within ROC Nation's circle while marginalizing someone who refused to align with its leadership. According to Minaj, whenever scrutiny intensifies around the company, a pattern of distraction follows. She has suggested that there is a repeatable strategy used to redirect public attention whenever controversies surface. reinforcing her belief that the conflict is organized and ongoing.
Anytime Cock Nation is in the news for something they don't want you to know, few things will happen. One, Will Smith is going to appear. 2, a famous person is announced dead. 3, their allies will begin to post and say nasty things about the Queen. 4, Lace Z will pop up looking dumb.
4 steps, a system of misdirection that, according to Nicki, activates like clockwork whenever ROC Nation comes under pressure. She describes a repeating sequence that includes surprise appearances by Will Smith, major celebrity death headlines dominating news cycles, coordinated social media criticism from industry allies, and public moments where Jay-Z appears disconnected or dismissive. Whether someone believes this theory or not, the fact that Minaj outlines a numbered and repeatable pattern, and that her supporters claim to track examples across months of media coverage, that shows how deeply this narrative runs among her fan base and in her own conviction. She is not presenting vague accusations. She is arguing that she has observed a consistent playbook unfolding in real time, and challenging the public to examine it for themselves. Meanwhile, the swatting incidents at her Hidden Hills home continued as the feud intensified and appeared, in her view, to escalate alongside it. In April 2025, between April 9th and 10th, a non-emergency call reported the assault and shooting of a black woman matching Minaj's description, with 2 suspects dressed in black allegedly still at the scene. The specificity of that report stands out. The caller did not name her directly but described her appearance, invented suspects to heighten the perceived threat, and used a non-emergency line, suggesting planning beyond a random prank. Deputies from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department responded heavily armed and prepared for an active crime scene, only to find the property empty. Minaj was reportedly on the East Coast at the time. This marked the 4th confirmed swatting incident in roughly 2 years. 4 times in 24 months, someone allegedly crafted detailed false reports that sent armed officers to a home where a minor child lives. Minaj publicly stated that guns had been drawn near her son during multiple responses and pleaded for assistance from Gavin Newsom, saying she received no reply. She attributed the lack of response to political corruption, while some supporters pointed to ROC Nation's criminal justice reform partnerships and political connections as part of a broader suspicion. Minaj's address has been publicly accessible because of her husband's registration requirements, which she argues increases her family's vulnerability. Although celebrities such as Jennifer Aniston and Lil Wayne have also faced swatting incidents, Minaj maintains that the frequency and severity in her case feel unusually persistent. Swatting carries real danger, drains public resources, and can lead to serious injury. Under California law, perpetrators can face fines and jail time, with harsher penalties if anyone is harmed. In June 2025, Minaj posted cryptic messages referencing her own lyrics and hinting at future revelations about ROC Nation. She later alleged that the company needed a major financial bailout and was using distractions to divert attention from internal problems. She also claimed that spies had been planted at her shows and suggested that Jay-Z himself was monitoring her tour activity. Industry commentators such as Joe Budden and DJ Vlad criticized her statements as erratic and self-isolating. Minaj, however, showed little concern for those reactions. From her perspective, she was confronting a system she believed was designed to silence her. By early 2026, the conflict escalated into a full public offensive. After criticism surrounding the Grammy Awards, Minaj launched a wave of social media posts aimed directly at Jay-Z's public image. She shared old photographs of him with Beyoncé and Aaliyah, attaching severe accusations and tying the images to broader claims about his past behavior. The online reaction was immediate and intense. Her supporters amplified the posts, Beyoncé's fan community pushed back, and journalists rushed to verify the images. Subsequent reporting indicated that the women in the photos were adults at the time they were taken, contradicting Minaj's implication. Even so, the posts had already circulated widely and become a permanent part of the feud's public record. For Minaj, the objective was clear. She wanted Jay-Z examined under the same spotlight she felt had been directed at her for years. With that escalation, she shifted from general accusations to direct attacks on what she sees as the core of the ROC Nation operation, pushing the conflict into its most explosive phase yet.
Desiree Perez, you got bigger fish to fry, bookie. Conspiracy? False imprisonment? Civil rights violation? Oh, Nation, y'all suck.
Conspiracy, false imprisonment, and civil rights violations are not casual accusations tossed around in a social media argument. They are federal-level allegations that could threaten careers and personal freedom. By making these claims publicly, Nicki Minaj is placing on record her belief that leadership tied to ROC Nation has been involved in conduct that violates fundamental rights. Whether any of this could be proven in court is a separate and critical question. But her repeated statements, shared with tens of millions of followers and never retracted, who have made these allegations a permanent part of the public conversation surrounding ROC Nation. Desiree Perez and Jay-Z. Minaj links these accusations directly to the swatting incidents at her home. In her account, The false reports, armed police responses, and repeated emergencies are not random acts by anonymous trolls. She argues they reflect a broader pattern of using institutions as tools of intimidation against people who challenge powerful figures. She has compared what she says happened to her with other alleged attempts to target people connected to Perez, describing what she views as a shared methodology focused on fear and pressure. Despite reported cease and desist letters, Minaj has continued to repeat these claims publicly. She has also folded additional rumors and personal grievances into her broader critique, arguing that Jay-Z harbors resentment toward her independence and success. According to Minaj, he struggled to accept a woman in rap who built a global career without relying on his endorsement. In her view, their tension-fueled efforts to sideline her while elevating artists within his circle. The dispute escalated further when Minaj announced she was stepping back from releasing new music, attributing her decision to an unprofessional environment she says had become hostile. For many observers, the weight of that statement was significant, given her status as one of the most commercially successful female rappers of her era. Throughout the controversy, Jay-Z has not issued a direct public response. His silence has been interpreted in multiple ways, from strategic restraint to implicit acknowledgement, depending on the observer. Reports have mentioned the possibility of defamation action involving Jay-Z and Beyoncé, but as of early 2026, no lawsuits have been filed. Communication from his side has reportedly been limited to legal correspondence. Separate legal issues also added pressure. A court briefly moved toward the potential sale of Minaj Hidden Hills property over an unpaid judgment connected to her husband, which she resolved before any seizure occurred. Although unrelated to her dispute with Jay-Z, some supporters interpreted every legal or financial challenge she faced as part of a larger pattern. What makes this situation both compelling and volatile is the mixture of verified events and unproven connections. The swatting incidents occurred. The financial disagreement over Tidal has been publicly discussed. The halftime show controversy involving Lil Wayne is documented. Minaj accusations against ROC Nation are on record. However, the claimed link between Jay-Z and the swattings, along with allegations of coordinated sabotage, remains unsubstantiated and unresolved in court. As of 2026, no legal ruling has confirmed or dismissed those connections. The result is a standoff between two narratives. On one side is an artist who believes she is resisting a powerful system aligned against her. On the other is an organization that has largely declined to engage publicly. Headlines about police surrounding her home are not isolated moments but part of a longer chain of disputes, fears, and escalating rhetoric. If Minaj claims were ever proven, they would suggest a profound abuse of power. If they are not, critics argue the episode could represent a damaging and highly public unraveling. Commentators such as Joe Budden have framed it as self-sabotage, while her supporters see a determined figure confronting entrenched influence. Either way, the conflict continues to unfold in public view. Allegations and counter-narratives keep accumulating, and neither side has shown signs of retreat. The story remains unresolved, closely watched, and likely to evolve further. If you enjoyed this video, click on any of the cards on your screen.